All right, let's kick it off without further ado here. GM everybody, thank you for tuning in to Wake and Jake. Me and Jake are going to talk through the macro and things to look out for the week. As always, the show is rated NFA, not financial advice. Always make your own decisions. Man, we this episode is coming live from the top of a gigantic green candle. We're reporting live, folks. We're up. It's crazy, man. So excited for this one. We got a good show here. GM everybody. Jake, how are you feeling this morning, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing well. And it feels like this is a consistent thing. I feel like since we started the show almost, it seems like maybe it's just Mondays, I don't know, but every time we get the show going, it's off of a green day, some green candles. So I don't know, maybe we're good luck, who knows. But
Yeah,
I'm feeling good. Sun's shining. Yeah, man.
it's beautiful. Yeah, usually the pump happens during your macro monologues, so we got front running a little bit here, but yeah, man, it's I agree. It's
We
been
can
buzzing,
keep
man.
going. We can
Yeah,
keep going. Doesn't mean
we,
stop.
we could definitely make that happen, or at least attempt to here. But yeah, man, I'm with you. The sentiment is just crazy, dude. It's buzzing. Like field reports are rolling in. We got people cooking. I mean, somebody bought a house in Success. I don't know if anybody checks
Yeah.
Best
Oh
thread.
yeah.
Man, it's going crazy. So, whew, a lot to talk about. And I'm
Shout
excited to
out Baz.
hear your thoughts.
Shout out Baz. He's the one who bought the house. I mean, this is early. This is early in
Uh,
the cycle for people to be getting houses already.
I know. I almost can't even like up until almost this morning. I've just been struggling with the idea that we're in like a full bull. Like I'm just like feel like it's like I don't know. I'm pessimistic. I'm a skeptic. I feel like it's like a double top. We're gonna
Uh,
dump and everything's a bubble. I'm
oh, we're.
scared. But dude,
I'm
it's
gonna
like
address that. I'm gonna address that. Brent's
yeah,
plans
beautiful.
too.
Beautiful, but it's like, how long can you stay bearish when we're crushing all time highs? It's yeah, man.
Exactly.
I think I'm scarred. I think I got some PTSD, like Shinzo's saying, but a lot to pick apart, man. A lot of emotions flying around. So eager to hear your thoughts, man. As our guiding light here, where we should be focused, what we should be thinking about. So if you want to get us started on macro and the ETF update, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, we can start chatting through it. I mean, or just last point about the house, man. We got houses in there already. I hope we get like a private jet in Success Channel at one of these times or something crazy. A yacht, I don't even know. By the end of the cycle, man, if we're already getting houses going. But in my opinion, I think we're still early. You know, to touch on ETF stuff, flows again continue to be very high. I think last week in total was our highest week of flows of inflows into the Bitcoin ETF. So we're still looking great. Still looking great there. I think it was. Let's see here. I'm gonna do some quick math in my head. It looks like it was around. So it was over 2 billion in net inflows. That's including the selling out of the GBTC ETF as well, the grayscale ETF. Net 2 billion last week. So I mean, if we're getting like 2 million a week through these of net inflows in the Bitcoin, I mean, we can still go a lot higher. That's for sure. So that's excellent. I'm going to share the chart that I usually reference here. It's dgens.finance. It talks through those ETF inflows and outflows. But I guess just in general of like where we are, we finally broke the 69K. We broke it a couple of times very briefly, and then it proceeded to dump. The first time we broke it, we dumped all the way down to like 58K or something like that. In a pretty wild candle, cascading liquidations. You know, we see that when funding rate gets super high. I think people, are really sliding that risk tolerance up as much as possible. They're sliding that leverage curve or that leverage slider to the right, cranking up leverage. Trying to hit the move. And I think when that gets a little too overblown, we see these cascading liquidations where it's just straight red candles, down a few percentage. In that case, it was around 10% or so on the same day. But it was great to see. I mean, we pumped right back up. I believe within 24 hours it was right back up to that all time high once again. Um, and it's been a bit choppy since, but thankfully over the weekend, we saw a nice little pump. Now up to 72K. Now firmly above that previous all-time high. Look, the last cycles, things don't always like perfectly repeat. What's going to happen this cycle compared to the previous cycles. Even though people like to reference that a lot, I think there's important data points from those that we can take from. I think a lot can be similar. If it's not the exact same, it can at least be a little bit similar in terms of, kind of like the emotion of, look, we're past where we were previously. Now we have like a lot more just open space to run. I think that motion is similar to where we were last cycle, and just a little bit of, I guess, hopium for you guys. Just looking back at what we did last cycle when Bitcoin did break the all-time high. It was in December of 2020. It broke the previous cycle's all-time high, which I think was in like 2017. Maybe it was early 2018 or so. That was around like 18 or 19K. And once it broke that all-time high, within a month, Bitcoin doubled. And then within 2 months, Bitcoin tripled. So that's just, it went from like 18K or 19K to like 36K, then like 54K, 55K or so in February. Just went absolutely bananas, right? So I think when we're talking about, top signals, like you mentioned before, like, I don't know. In my opinion, I think this is only beginning. Like, I think this is like an inflection point of like, all right, now I think we can actually get pretty crazy. I think the market can get pretty crazy before it cools off here. In my opinion, we're only based on, last cycle, and just being in the price discovery phase, and also a lot of people, smart people that I follow. I think just in general, I think we have some blue skies, clear skies ahead for price, and it's looking pretty good. In my opinion, I'm bullish.
Man, just hearing that is like just like a warm, cozy blanket wrapped around, making me feel better, man. I was gonna ask if you had any opinion on like the recent like volatility and just like extreme sort of chop, but I feel like that might even be reading into it too much. I feel like this is just macro overall. You're just looking at like historic sort of milestones here. Relic dropped a little gem in the chat just now. 3 of the last 4 times Bitcoin surpassed all-time high, it doubled within 18 days. The 4th time it was within 100 days. So yeah, there's definitely something to the new all-time high price discovery of Bitcoin. It's a crazy phenomenon that we've seen a few times. So maybe this recent chop in liquidity or volatility rather in the market is not that big of a deal, and is probably just normal. I was gonna see if you had anything there, but it's probably not a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people are like expecting this, that they like kind of learning from these last cycles, right? And they're expecting Bitcoin to really rip, which I still think it does, but I think it's probably shaking out people before it does that, because people are sliding. Like I said, the risk curve over. Like funding rates are still super high. Let me go to this fund. And again, I know we touched on it last show, but funding rate is basically how much you pay to keep your position open, your leverage position open. And when they start to get too high, there's just too many people on leverage, and they can easily, with a sharp move, it kind of like is a cascade effect, right? Where a downward move, people get liquidated, and they're forced to sell, and then that sends price even lower, and then it liquidates the people below, who had their stops a little bit below them, and then on and on and on, and then so it can just be a cascading where it's just a big red candle of all these people getting liquidated. But a lot of times that can be a good thing for price, right? Because it kind of resets, and doesn't have those. I guess I'm not sure the good word for it, but I guess like trip mines or whatever in the way. There's obstacles in the way for the price to soar in the next time, I guess. I didn't put that great, but so here's a 1-day heat map, sharing in voice hangout chat right now. you can kind of just like look at it because it's very visually pretty easy to see because it goes from like green to yellow, cautious, orange, red is when it gets high, and right now it's just on the 1 day you can see that it's really picked up. It's started to cool off a little bit, thankfully. Um, so it's still decently high here on these funding rates. Hopefully they tick down a little bit. But that basically just means careful if you're going with leverage. Like there could be just a swift dump out of nowhere. That doesn't mean the price is gonna absolutely dump. It's a bear now, but it just means it's just kind of like reset. And in these type of environments, at least in my opinion, I think in these type of environments, it just means look, it's a temporary reset of funding, and now we can go higher.
Higher, he says. Higher.
Higher for longer.
All right, I've got sort of a loaded question for you. It's a difficult hypothetical here. The fundamentals look sound. I mean, we've been harping on the fundamentals for over a month now, just looking at Bitcoin and the way that it's set up and the inflows and everything, the halving, et cetera. I want to bring up like an external sort of factor, sort of a wild card here, and just see if you think how you think it measures up. So over the past week, there was sort of this historic stock sell-off from some big tech companies like Bezos and Zuckerberg are dumping hard, like 11 billion type shit, and all the headlines are like, oh no, something bad is coming. I've seen people speculate it's election related. Biden mentioned corporate taxes in the State of the Union last week. Some people just think we're in like a bubble. I mean, like the Nvidia like stock is just like going nuts and like has this huge market cap and stuff. We also just have inflation and interest rate issues. I'm curious if you think the fundamentals. Sorry, here's the question. So I'm curious if you think the fundamentals of Bitcoin are just strong enough for it. It's going to go higher. It's going to rip. It's going to do its thing. Or do you think that like an economic sort of downturn could stop the party early and sort of suppress Bitcoin for like a later run? Do you have any thoughts there?
Um, I think we've kind of I think we're always gonna be a bit correlated for sure to the traditional finance, traditional stock market. I think it's a little less correlated than what it used to be, especially like during the bear when interest rates were really the thing driving prices down. Um, I don't know. I don't know about like this tech stuff. Honestly, I've not followed it too much. I'm not like a big. I don't watch like TradFi markets a ton. I'm looking at the S&P right now, and it seems fine to me. It's like basically like up and to the right for the last 6 months. So I guess I'm not really seeing any type of sell off happening. Everything seems good to me, which is great for the market. Yeah, sorry, I don't have a great answer to this one, but because I'm not as in touch with the TradFi world recently. Ever since I got into crypto, it's been my baby now.
Yeah, no, totally fine and understandable. I guess like a TLDR, just for my take on it, is just like there's been this weird, like delicate dance of like interest rate cuts and like people just like stocks going higher when we have inflation issues and like transitory inflation that didn't happen and then soft landing that didn't happen and like there's a lot of like like just economical like foundational issues with the U.S. right now, and I think part of the S&P doing okay is because of Nvidia's just like legendary run that it's made in the past, I don't know, 12, 16 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing shitcoin numbers. Nvidia stock is, and like it's so like bloated that it's making up for like a huge portion of like our entire stock market's value, like the GDP type shit. Like it's way big, it's massive, and it's just keeps going higher, higher, higher. Like you're saying, higher. So yeah, that's and then very smart, rich, loaded people are dumping billions, which I guess it doesn't mean as much when they are billionaires. You know what I mean? Like they just deal in higher amounts. So maybe those
Right.
headlines are a little bit of fear mongering and stuff like that, trying to shake people out. But yeah, Starkweather's saying it's not just Nvidia, everything AI chip based. So yeah, it's sort of like an AI bubble at the moment, or at least that's what people are calling for. Like they're seeing, like NFT or crypto type gains from regular stocks if they're AI related. It's just kind of pandemonium for the past couple months while we have an economy that's kind of shaky. So it's almost like people are just kind of ignoring it, and we're just kind of, I don't know, if we're euphoric, then you kind of have to like it's hard to realize you are. You have to take a step back and like, hang on, is everything kind of sound right now? But I promise this is the last wet blanket that I'm throwing on the crypto party this morning. But it's just, yes, headlines were hitting me left and right, and I was like, man, like what the fuck is actually going on here? Like people are like half the people are doom and gloom, saying, it's this is unsustainable and it can't keep happening. But then like crypto people are like going nuts. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy and it's ripping. So yeah, it's a lot happening at once. So I'm trying to take it all in. But I appreciate you at least taking a shot in the dark there, even though if you don't have a strong take either way.
Yeah, no problem. Only thing I will say, I guess, just regarding, macro sentiment in general is, I think, with the elections coming up, the Democrats who are currently in power right now are gonna like do whatever they can. I think this is like typical in the election year. They're gonna do whatever they can to make sure the economy's strong, at least until the election happens in November. Because like a failing economy is like a number one thing that's not going to get you reelected as a president. So I think they're going to like pull whatever triggers that they have under their disposal in order to keep the economy going. That's all I think. After that, who knows? Let's just I guess we'll just keep monitoring Shaggy's monthly macro updates for more info, and we'll see as time goes on.
There you go. Beautiful. Well, instead we can use this time to talk about stuff we are locked in on. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you, kick it off for the week. Is there anything in any one specific place that you plan on deploying capital to this week, or like we added from last week, taking profits on anything that's running a little hot that you want to cash in on?
Yeah, before we get to that, I did have one other thing I want to talk on.
Oh, please, yeah.
That's related to what we were talking about, and that's the ETH ETF stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, there's more stuff going out. There's more stuff coming out right now about how it's less likely. Eric Balchunas, who is probably like the number one person that crypto people have relied on for info regarding these ETFs. He's more of a TradFi guy, dipping his toes into the crypto world, but he's like locked into like all the ETF news, especially the crypto ETF stuff. And he just recently tweeted today, like an hour ago, our odds of ETH ETF approval by May deadline are down to 35%. I get all the reasons that they should approve it, but the sources and signs that they're seeing are saying that it might be longer than that deadline. They're not saying like the ETF's not coming ever, but by May at least, it might get delayed. So, no, it did not get pushed already. So I think that's interesting. There's also a poly market bet. Basically, if you don't know what poly market is, it's on Polygon. It's like a betting predictions market where you can just bet on random stuff happening or not. Like you can bet on like who's going to be the next president, and oh my gosh, sorry, I just exited out of Discord on my computer. But yeah, this one is if the ETF's going to get approved by April, and I think that's around 35% right now. Yeah, let's see what it is. 31. It's like 36% chance too as well. So I think that's interesting and that has $2 million of volume. Because prediction markets, we use them a lot in like fantasy football and stuff like that, because it's people putting their money where their mouth is, right, on stuff instead of just saying something. They're actually betting on it. So it's a little bit more efficient market because it can be arbitraged out. So I like to look at betting market stuff. 2 million isn't like a ton of volume, but it's something notable at least. That being said, BlackRock does have like a 99.99% chance of ETF approval rate. So there's like push and pull there. We'll see what happens, but right now the sentiment isn't as good, I think, as it was originally about the ETH ETF getting approved, and that might shift focus a little bit more back into Bitcoin in the short term, unless we get some more bullish sentiment on that soon. So I just wanted to bring that part up.
Yeah, great shout. This was not on my radar, so yeah, appreciate that.
Hey, Jim, guys. Jim.
GM, how's it going, brother?
Hey, good. I had a thought here, if I can build on top, if that's okay. Because we had a couple conversations recently about this that may be helpful as well, building on top of you and Jake.
Please do.
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, like in line with what Jake said, I wrote a report on this a little back about taking profits and view on the cycle. I think it's a little bit conservative, but I think it aligns with what Jake was saying about election time and then the key dates and the key milestones. So it's definitely how, at least I'm thinking about it, although others may disagree with that a little bit. But we had other conversations in here. For instance, like we have a conversation in Voice Hangout chat probably a week ago or maybe 2 weeks ago with Shaggy in here talking about the ETF and his opinion on it. And he was also of the opinion that it's unlikely, just because it's classified differently, if nothing else. So that seems to be, his opinion as well, which of course, we value a lot. I did have one other point though that I think is worth saying, which is I see this narrative talked about the concentration of the stock market that exists in NVIDIA and big tech and all that kind of stuff. And I think what I see happening personally is that I think notwithstanding the election, the soft landing that they're trying to get is the world is inevitably moving to more automation and AI. And we all know that's the case, right? The problem is that not everything is there yet, right? Technology's not there, hardware's not there, everything else. So I think they're trying to bridge to that basically, and create a smoother, softer landing so that all the stuff you were talking about, THC of the world being messed up in the economy, kind of gets smoothed out over time. And, it's easier to produce goods and produce products. I think that's what they're trying to do. But more importantly, as it relates to us, I still think we are definitely correlated with the stock market. That's not changing. It's just, if you see these headlines about, NVIDIA being bloated or whatever I don't buy into that, because I think this is a new time, and there are naturally going to be some really, really well-positioned winners like NVIDIA that could just crush the market at the end of the day, and just take huge advantage. So I just thought that comment might help.
I appreciate it, man. I love how you said everything bad in the world. That's amazing. Yeah. So, sorry, guys. Didn't mean to drop that on everybody. We can definitely resume with the bullishness. I won't hold us back any longer.
You're good.
If that was it. Okay. No. Yeah. Please.
No, I actually did have one other thing I want to talk about just regarding top signal stuff. Scott Co actually shared a really good post earlier from someone on Twitter, kind of talking about a lot of second cycle people calling tops recently, and kind of why their mindset is around that. And I actually already was planning on bringing this up, but I've been seeing it too, like the sphere, like people trying to get the with hat on the sphere, and then this like NFT Nick guy doing all of his like I choose rich videos, and some of this other stuff. And just in general, like all these meme coins popping off, right? I've seen a good amount of people talking about like, oh, this is like a top signal, or at least like a local top signal. And I think it is, in my opinion, it's kind of like a bit of like bear PTSD of people who are around now, who were here last cycle, and they saw like all these things in hindsight. Like they saw like the Facebook video, or like the Randy Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg's sister, her like wag me video, and then like these brands all talking to each other, saying like wag me and call each other friend and all that shit. And then all these other companies getting in NFTs and stuff. They like look back and like, oh, that was such an obvious top signal. So now they're like, I think they're like trying to protect themselves a bit, and like trying to be a little too on the conservative side of like calling a top before it actually is a top. I think there's a bit of, like I said, like PTSD there, when in my opinion, it's more so like we're starting to see like more mainstream adoption. I think that's what we're starting to see, people be successful. But that doesn't mean the cycle's all of a sudden over, right? I think it just means, look, normies are coming back, and and there's going to be some more cringe shit that we do, and crypto is going to be more and more in the mainstream light. And that doesn't mean like instantly because it was last cycle, and the last cycle eventually, topped and fell off. That doesn't mean all of a sudden like the first signs of that are another top, right? I think that's just what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of cringe shit that happens. There's going to be like celebs shilling shit coins. And like there's going to be like talked about on like the day, like the Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon or shit, where he shills apes or whatever the new NFT that he's going to buy, and stuff like that. I just think like, look, this is just like the beginning of that, in my opinion. And this just means that normies are coming back, and crypto is in the limelight enough for people to talk about, and to talk about in what we see as being people engraved in this world as cringe. But in general, I just think like I would be careful like thinking it's the top just because you see these kind of things. I think this is just like, this is what happens. This is like what we want. This is like how price goes up is normies start to adopt it more and more. So in my opinion, like we have a lot more ways to run, right? I think like there's still so many alts that, like ETH hasn't even hit its all-time high yet. And I think we're going to go a lot higher across the board. Again, all just my personal opinion, but I think viewing top signals in that way, I think you should shift your mindset a bit. And I think that if I didn't articulate it very good, I think this tweet did that I posted in Voice Hangout that Scott originally shared does a good way of articulating it.
No, I think you articulated it well, man. I think it's a great perspective to share too, and a good discussion for us to have. I'm sure others are feeling similar type of PTSD or just flashbacks from previous cycles. Hell, I could do a little account here. I know from last cycle with NFTs and everything. After 6-7 months of just us eating off NFTs, SNL did the NFT song or whatever, and that brought people into the space that then went on, like the entire market from there went on to like 2 or 3x, like pretty much anything that you shot at. So like even as that shit was on, like SNL, like as mainstream as it can get, like there was still so much more room to run after that. So people got in because of that, still cooked. Like it's just crazy. So yeah, man, who knows how high things can go once it's really taken off. So appreciate talking through just sort of dealing with those sort of like mental hurdles and stuff like that, and PTSD and just like reliving cycles and stuff like that. It can be hard, but it's uncharted territory every time. Where each time we're in price discovery, it's like brand new, a whole brand new game. So good to talk through. Anything last there before we move on to the next sort of segment here?
Yo. Joined a bit late.
What up, JJ?
How's it going, brother?
No, I love to hear the thoughts, especially on this topic, because it's definitely been a victim to bear PTSD myself, and I love what you guys are saying. It's just gotta throw out, healthy skepticism's all right, but at least personally, it's always like, how much higher can all these things go, And if we remember back to the first cycle, oh god, it's so much higher. And I think approaching it that same, like, I don't know what to call it, curiosity or optimism, one of those two is probably better. Because right now it's more like, yeah, it's like approaching things with like skepticism and like negativity. So I catch myself in that too.
You sound like a naive summer child with no battle scars, no war stories to tell. That's what you sound like right now. I'm just kidding. That's how it be though. It's like you can come in fresh face to the space with just this like endless optimism and be right, and then you got skeptics that are here that have been burned that are just like, scowling their face and like looking down their nose at you like, nah, you don't understand how this works. And you don't have to. Sometimes it's just dumb. So yeah, it's very, very relatable topic. I'm sure most people feel this.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not saying like don't take profit, like, or like it's not gonna like there's not gonna be like a local top, right? Because I think even during this bull, I think we still will get like a decent sized drawdown. across the board, where the bull won't be over, but maybe you'll wish you took a little more profit so you could enter at these and buy these dips in the future. Maybe like a few months. So maybe like summertime, kind of how it was last year. Summertime dipped for a bit, where people seem to touch the grass and their risk kind of got overblown, and then return August, September, October. Things started to rip up even higher again. So I'm not saying profits aren't going to take it taken, but just in general, I don't think we're there yet. I do want to just quick last thing on this topic. I want to read this tweet that I referenced earlier because I think it's applicable to a lot of us, because a lot of us are in our second cycle. But basically, this guy, Corn Trader Nick, says what happens is usually that people in their second cycles start with a larger capital base than they had in their first cycle, after they've realized profit from the first cycle, and this in turn leads to difficulty in accepting the same stages within a second market cycle that felt familiar in the first one, because each move higher and through the stages brings your portfolio balance to previously unanticipated levels. Like, this can't really be happening to me. It must be the top soon. This gets worse in the third cycle, but hopefully you're able to recognize those emotions more clearly. Truth is, the market doesn't care or know that you exist. Your P&L is utterly irrelevant to the broader market cycle. So the concept of this can't be happening to me sense euphoria, like I feel euphoria, so this must be the cycle top, is actually just your present failure to adjust to the magical numbers on your screen. So that was a good way of putting it. Like, the market doesn't care like where you are personally. Like, it's great that you're doing well, but that just because you're euphoric about where your portfolio is doesn't mean everyone in the market is. Like, there still could be a lot more room to run. Again, take profits, but just wanted to share that sentiment.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's like that's the definition. That's what we mean when we were saying PTSD. Like, yeah, that's like the full explanation of it. It's like disbelief and just, struggle to move past, because of all those reasons. You said, appreciate you reading that out like a doctor. It's very, very surgical explanation there. If we're all good here, of course, and if anybody else wants to jump in,
can I add one thing?
You can add any war stories you want. Yeah, for sure. Please.
Yeah, I think like whenever the conversation of profit taking comes into play, I think we should talk about like selective profit taking instead. So there's things that I have that I won't touch for a year. BTC, ETH, Sol, stuff like that. Like, I'm not going to take profit because I don't really care if ETH goes back to 3,000. Like, it's going to make a higher high. So that I don't care about. It's trimming the weak things and rotating into strength. So whenever you like feel euphoria or really think it's actually like a local top, like trim the weak stuff. Like let's be real, like the old school NFTs, like nobody cares about the old NFTs. You got to get that through your mind first of all. The Zagabonds, the Bored Apes, they're sick, but they're repricing themselves. Next time Azuki and Apes drop news, like, it's not the same market as 2 years ago. We're not going to sweep 1,000 ETH immediately. It's just, you got to remember, like the Bart Simpson on a chalkboard thing, new entrants want new things to play with. They want to be their own community. They want to feel special. We're kind of seeing that with like the Node Monkey, even to like a Quantum Cat. But I just think whenever you think about taking profits, always be selective and trim what's weak and be fine holding strength.
Yeah, I love that. I will just caveat it a little bit just from personal experience. Like, I do agree with you 100%. But broader market drawdowns, I learned the hard way, and like black swans, that those things matter. Because I was always like, oh, if ETH goes to the lows, I'll just tax loss harvest and hold. But as Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And that Luna FTX was a crazy one too.
Yeah, make sure you can pay your taxes. I think that was a good point, Coughdrop. I think in general it's something I'm trying to do more this cycle, where I'm just constantly or just at least setting a reminder for myself to just review my portfolio and consolidate, things that I no longer have conviction in, or at least have the least amount of conviction in. So at least so I can focus a little bit more, and let, my winners ride, I think is a good time for that as well. So love the sentiment, guys. Thanks for joining in.
Agreed. Yeah. Excellent takes to share. I agree with the rotating into strengths as well. I'm trying to just absorb some of these tweets that Relic Hunter is dropping in chat here. Kind of crazy. I'll just read it off here. Just in, MicroStrategy surpassed eBay, Delta Airlines, and T. Rowe Price in market cap, becoming the 301st largest company in U.S. He says if MicroStrategy gets into the S&P 500 Ponzi mode 9,000. Yeah, I think we might be living in a simulation. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know. He just keeps finding money to buy more Bitcoin. I love it.
All right. Well, okay. So we've talked to our feelings. We've group hugged it out quite a bit here. I think we're all feeling a little better than how we woke up this morning. A little more perspective on the market and stuff. But Jake, I'd love to hear, man, just where you're deploying capital this week, if anywhere.
Yeah, honestly, it's not very different than last week. Right now, I'm kind of, looking to long dips on Bitcoin, and then probably some alts as well. If Bitcoin does really rip here, I think we'll get a lot of more alt action following in its footsteps. Other than that, it's similar that I'm looking for memes that are getting social traction, seem to have good continued momentum, seeing a lot of volume as well. Right now I'm in just a few stuff. I mean, I'm in WIF, obviously. I'm not selling my WIF for a while still. Hopefully we get that hat on that sphere. I just bought a couple of WIF hats, actually. I don't know if that's a top signal or not. I hope not. But I did buy some actual WIF hats so that I could wrap it maybe in the NYC. We'll see. And then, outside of that, man, I'm really not very exposed to NFTs right now. I did want to touch on that briefly. I think, we see, I think if it does play out and Bitcoin rips a ton, that means a lot of other things are probably going to rip a ton, like ETH and Solana as well. And when we see that, we see NFTs reprice lower usually, just because people are selling the NFTs because they're worth more, right? Just in general, because of the underlying asset that they're priced in. So I'm not super into NFTs right now, just because I am anticipating crypto in general to rip higher. Hopefully that happens. There's one that I was into, Persona, that I bought some of earlier. I still just really like the art. That's the main reason. And you can stake for token. I was disappointed that it's staking for token and not an airdrop. But I won't show my bags too hard. But those are the few things that I'm into this week. Mainly memes probably is where I'm looking for. I'm probably be heavily in the shitcoin trading chat, just monitoring what's going on. I think meme season isn't anywhere close to done. I still think that advice that I talked about last week, and that if you just grind TikTok and see what the normies are talking about, see what's a popular thing that they're bringing up, and maybe even some coins that they're talking about as well. You might be able to get in early on some trends as well before they start to hit the broader market. So it's kind of just memes, and then the big coins as well, Bitcoin and ETH. What about you, THG?
Beautiful. Yeah. Not deploying any capital. I was actually going to ask, the gears just started spinning in my head, man. And I realized that we've been doing this for almost 2 months now. And I have a golden opportunity here to get a private wallet review from you. I can kind of just force it on you. There's not really much you can do about it. So I'm going to ask you, I can pretty much boil I don't have much exposure, just, as far as NFTs, just a handful. but they are gaming NFTs. So I was going to see what you thought about gaming NFTs this cycle. I know the old school NFTs aren't cool, PFPs and stuff, but do you think games, especially games that have yet to drop a token, do you think that those have room to run here in the cycle?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the NFTs themselves are a little harder because I'm not sure if I'll know, really what their utility is. I guess it always kind of depends on what they provide for utility for the game. But I think the tokens in general should do pretty well. Even though I'm quite bearish long term on the whole NFT gaming space. I don't know. There still hasn't been one that has figured it out in terms of like economy and like longevity terms. But that doesn't mean people are going to speculate on like crazy in the bull run, which I think they will. So, and there's a lot better infrastructure being built now. I think, there's ways for games to have be on chain and also have a very low transaction costs. Some routes that weren't available in last bull, and there's a lot of games that started developing last bull that can be very high quality and will be released more and be ready for more mainstream this bull. So I think those things all together make me look forward to a lot of these games, and I think that's I think there's definitely opportunities there. It might be hard choosing them because there's a lot more out there now. Any games specific that you're looking forward to or that you're allocated to?
Yeah, for sure. I can do some back shilling real quick. I mean, I spent pretty much the whole bear playing games, testing games, trying to find some gems and stuff that really just either have that special sauce as far as like the team or just have really good gameplay because most of the games fucking suck. So here, take my 8 months of work here. These are the three gems that came out of the other end here. Oh baby, oh baby games. Oh baby cart is fire. I think that it's the undercover Web3 game. It's doesn't mention NFTs anywhere on its Steam. It's going to be on mobile and like the Steam mobile thing. It's going to be on consoles. Partnerships with Nickelodeon is fire. Just Mario Kart. It's really good. Beacon is another one that I've been banging the drum on since their mint. It's just simply good, and their full game is coming soon. And I think that if they were to add just one thing like the Cambria duels, right, where you duel for money. If they were to add that to this, which I think would be simple, it would just absolutely go nuts because the core gameplay loop is just so fire. And they haven't even released like their co-op dungeons and stuff like that. So yeah, Beacon's fire. And the last one's super under the radar, but Wild Card Alliance, their Wild Pass NFT. It's like it's a mix of like a deck building with like a lane battler. So it's like a third person sort of like two people are battling, but you're like summoning monsters to hold down these lanes and stuff. It's really good, man. Like the polish is crazy. The gameplay is fun and it's low key. And none of these have a token yet either. So that's why I'm up on them. And then honorable mention would be Pirate Nation, just because their team is goated and I see what they're building and they've just been constantly trending in the right direction and changing their gameplay, like completely revamping how the game, like what the game is, how it works. Always a step forward, always improving.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Pirate Nation as well. But yeah, those would be my top three and then honorable mention.
I still need to I know you sent me a code. I just haven't got around to it, but I just need to start playing Oh Baby.
Man, ship might have sailed, brother. I don't know. They've made a couple announcements. They've been announcing over and over that they're ending, that they're moving towards closing this beta. Maybe they'll do an open beta next or something. But if you could at least jump in, I don't know, claim a box or something like that would probably be pretty clutch. They did post that they had 20,000 concurrent players, which is a lot. That's a big number. I'm sure a lot of them are bots, but that's still a pretty massive number. Probably biggest in Web3, I would have to assume. Like, what game is putting up 20,000 concurrent players? It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Wildcard's dope. Have you done any of the playtests?
I did like a private one though. I haven't like played anybody. I'd probably get stomped, but man, it felt really good. Like it felt amazing.
Sorry, what was the name of that again?
Wild Card Alliance.
Wild Card Alliance.
Yeah, I think that's it. The NFTs are called the Wild Pass Genesis joints. It's pretty good.
I've got a
Reminds
quick
me.
update for this week if you want.
Oh, love it, please.
Okay, yeah, we've got the Denkun upgrade for ETH coming in 2 days. I think it's roughly midday on the 13th, which will, I think, benefit games as well, because all the layer 2s are now going to be able to use this new blob storage type, which will be applied to every block, completely separate to the transaction fill. So that will give games a cheaper way of basically deploying data back to mainnet. And it also gives us roughly, I think those take off about 20% of the data currently in Ethereum blocks at the moment. So straight off the bat, we can expect roughly about 20% lower gas if they keep up the level of data that they were doing and they start shifting over to the blob storage. So
Love
might not
that.
it might not make a massive difference, but it certainly benefits games and it certainly benefits all of us on mainnet. We should see some slightly lower gas from Wednesday.
Damn, Saigar was right about the blobs. That's crazy. He was on it.
Yeah, thank you for that update, Ezra. And I didn't realize I looked into blobs. I remember like months ago. I didn't realize that was this upgrade.
Yeah.
But yeah, good. So is that for like that's for like any L2 will be able to utilize that, or is that like based on? Well, does the L2 utilize it, or is it like the protocol or whatever?
The L2
level?
does. The L2, yeah. So any L2 that would want to put large amounts of data back to mainnet or anything, instead of them having to fight with the current gas block fees, they'll now have their own area, which I think it's something like, I think there's either 1 or 2 slots reserved. I can't remember exactly. 1 or 2 slots reserved in each block for this, because they obviously want this to be something that scales. So it's going to push a lot of L2 projects, giving them a new way to basically feed the data back for a much cheaper price, which is really good.
We're gonna need it for the normies.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. That's exciting. Do you know if there's anything else like on the ETH's roadmap that's similar to this in terms of like reducing gas costs?
Yeah, there's loads. I don't think it's too useful. It's all planned out, but I don't think it's too useful kind of talking too much about it right now, but mainly because they take so long to kind of get to the point of deployment.
Yeah.
But there's tons. There's loads of stuff. I mean, I can't even keep up with all the names. Like this brings what's the name of it again? That like proto dank sharding. This can then be like 200x in a future upgrade by doing this, and this. But yeah, there's a full roadmap that is being deployed, and this was the next one for them to tick off, and they're ticking it off on Wednesday, which is really cool.
Sweet. I think that's bullish ETH. I didn't know about this. That sounds decently impactful. I mean, 20% reduction is nothing to scoff at. I think it just in general. I mean, that's obviously like the biggest critique of ETH is, you know, how expensive gas fees are. So the fact that they got a lot in the roadmap to reduce that, or to try and reduce that, is a positive. So sweet.
Hell yeah. Jacob asked in chat, he asked me and you, Jake, if we kept up with Castaways at all. Personally, I did not either. Yeah, it was okay the time that I did play it, but definitely not like a fun game. Definitely only played it for potential reward or airdrop. I mean, all the other ones, the list I cultivate, these are just like would be fun standalone games, even if they weren't, you know, NFTs or play to earn or any of that stuff. They're just like good. Yeah, Castaways did not make that list for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird because I was like so much. All I knew it was for farming, and that's kind of all that we talked about it as. And then I just randomly saw it like on a recommended Twitch stream. There was only one streamer streaming it, and it was a sponsored stream as well, and it seemed like the guy who like was the CEO or something was in the chat, or someone was impersonating him with his Twitch name. And there's only like a couple hundred viewers, maybe like 400. But like, I was asking like, yo, is it like, why are you playing a crypto game, an NFT game, or whatever? And then none of them even knew it was or ever was, and they definitely added a lot of new stuff, but I was just pretty confused. So I'm just curious if anyone kept up with that and kind of what their plan is, but it was a weird experience for sure.
Yeah, that is bizarre. Appreciate the the shout out. Kind of had forgot about it completely. Man, I hope people sold their rafts. Weren't those the things that were like 10, 20, something like that?
Yeah, they're crazy.
Diamonds. Shoo. Is that our boy Gabe? Is that Gabe's deal?
He was definitely one working with them, but I don't think he was the main. It was just kind of his
Partnership type deal.
a free NFT kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, everything's free.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well here, I can pivot here into I want to do the field report roundup just because we had some great ones, a lot of field reports this week. So I want to run through these just really quickly, just to tip anybody off. Maybe if any of these sound interesting, go give them a read. But let's see. We start with Metarova dropped one on Over Network. This is a like free wallet install. You can do it on your phone. They have like daily quizzes, daily check-ins that give you points. You can also get referrals for points, and then you can stake those points within the app to earn more. It's going to be going on for I think another week or so, maybe a little bit longer. Next, we have the Easy Layer Zero Guide by Naruto. This is for those who felt the pain of missing out on Wormhole and maybe need a coat play to chase, but easy airdrop guide there. Zoro dropped io.net farming guide, which is a quick one. This is links and a heads up to go at least interact or farm with io.net, which is the GPU farming coin. We mentioned a few weeks back. I think there was another field report on it. Scottco wrote up one. He brings us the next friend tech on base called Circle Tech. The Frentech token seems like it is cooking potentially on like pre-markets and stuff. So if you missed that, here's another coat play for you. It's two airdrops in one you can be farming. GVN dropped his first field report. This is on Ton and Redo, which is Redo is Resistance Dog, the meme coin of Ton. Ton is the coin for Telegram or Telegram's token. So I hadn't even heard of this. So it's pretty wild. Telegram is obviously fucking massive. 800 million active users. So love it or hate it, it's it's widely used and deeply tied into shitcoin culture. Telegram token seems like a cook. And then we have Easy and Profitable Blast Farming Opportunity by 18 pages. And this one covers Blade Swap, which is a DEX on Blast, and how to start farming to earn loot boxes and prizes over there. So absolute bangers for this week. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. If any of you guys are here and listening and want to add anything or chime in or any updates or anything to your field reports, feel free. I'm going to take a pause here and then just give some quick mission updates. Tonk is asking, is it actually Telegram's token? You're going to have to go check out the field report by GVN for more context there. Missions ending soon. We have three this week before we talk to you next, Wake and Jake. So go knock these out. We have the Magic Eden mission. That one's going to end tomorrow. We have Blast Domains, which ends in 5 days. And we have Thruster, which ends in 6 days. Both of those two being on Blast. So 3 missions ending this week. Make sure you go knock those out so you're not missing out on the experience and the points and all those raffles and rewards that come from the missions themselves. That's all I got as far as MVHQ stuff. I did want to ask Jake. I wanted to ask you about Wormhole. Mentioned Wormhole here in these field reports. I wanted to see if you hit on that, or if there's any other, I don't know, farms or any other airdrops that you're looking at potentially. Jake did not hit on Wormhole, and he's pissed about it.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
was muted. No, I did hit Wormhole on at least a couple alts. I really haven't checked all of them yet because you can't claim yet. Got like 1,200 or so per. I'm not sure if that's the minimum or what. But I didn't use it very much. I only used it a few times, so I'll take it. I was happy with that.
Well, it wasn't the minimum. I can tell you that because I got
No?
like 850 or something like that. 850, I think.
Okay. Well, GG.
Yep, I think it's a GG. I don't know what it's worth, but I know that people were upset for not getting it. So I'm like, yeah.
I
finally got
asked
something.
before. I asked before. I guess it's trading around 1.5. I believe is what maybe it was Aslo who told me.
Nice.
Free market. So I mean that's pretty nice. We'll take that. If it's a 4-fig airdrop for doing a couple cents, that's no biggie at all. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to focus on the farms these days. I personally am like not a huge farmer. I think I've talked about this previously. I usually just do like stuff naturally, like farm stuff. If I'm already like using it for something else, then it's like a might as well kind of thing. The only thing I'm actively farming really is the Merlin chain airdrop, which we've talked about like every single episode. But just doing that on multiple wallets. Hope for their Merl token. Again, Merlin chain, Bitcoin L2 has a ton of TVL, more TVL than Blast. I think it's at like 3.5 last I saw. Maybe it's at like 4 by now, billion in staked assets or TVL. So I'm farming that one. Their governance token is coming. They said it should be this month. So that's the only one I'm focused on currently right now. And then other than that, I'm just doing some trading, and then maybe I'll find some farms if it's easy and passive and it doesn't take a lot of time. But yeah, any hot farms out there that people would recommend?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from anybody in the audience if they have any farms here. I know you keep telling me you don't farm. I'm going to keep asking them, keep throwing it out there, because one week you're going to be like, you know what? Actually, I do have this thing, and it's going to be a cook. And as a byproduct here, when Merlin token does drop, we can point back to literally every single week you saying, "Yeah, I'm farming this Merl token. Yeah, I'm farming this Merl token," and then it cooks. People can't say, "Why didn't you tell us, Jake?"
Seriously, like I just started Merlin Seal, I think when you did, or sorry, when 6 Mil did, like last week or something. So I definitely echo that sentiment.
Hopefully it cooks, man. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'll probably buy some off the drop too.
I'm with Jake though. Like I'm not a big farmer, but after missing pixels and being like the so-called gaming guy in here, I feel obligated to touch every single game now. So it's just been there's a lot that are like really low lift. Like I think Tatsumiko is one, takes like 2 minutes a day or something. So like those, I think you should probably do, as it's pretty simple. But others like Oh Baby, probably take somewhere between like 30 minutes to an hour every day, and no promise of a token there.
Tatsumika, could you link that one, JJ? I haven't heard of
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. Let me link it. They have an event going. You'll need an invite code. I will ingraciously show mine, but I'm sure others in here have their own as well.
Pump my bags. I actually didn't know that I need to be playing Tatsumika. I'm just like holding or staking one.
Yeah, they have an online event. I'll post it in non-time sensitive info.
So like the endless whatever or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you get out of all this, but you get stuff in their Discord game, and I'm not sure what the payoff is down the line, but literally takes like 2 minutes every day, so I'm not gonna think too hard about it.
Yeah, good shout. And dude, I can make you feel a little better on the pixels, man. I had thousands and tens of thousands of scarrets, man. I don't know what happened, but I did videos on how to complete the missions. I was on it, and I got absolutely nothing. So that can make you feel a little bit better. It's like being whitelisted and missing the wallet submit. You're just like, oh my god, I did everything I needed to do. I was right there, and then just fumbled.
Yeah, it's tough because that's kind of why I'm not so much a farmer myself, even though I know others in here are amazing farmers and it's paid off in spades. It's just, yeah, it's a lot of time for an unknown reward, but you'll know that one of these will probably hit and it'll be worth it. So, like,
Yeah.
if you're low liquid or low time, it's like one of the best things you could do.
Yep.
Yes, sir. And another one here. Excuse me. Another one here. JD says he's farming the Backpack Exchange. The snapshot is on March 18th. and he linked a field report by AI on it. And I want to give a shout out to AI as well for just absolutely standing by and banging the drum on Pixelmon for like a fucking year now, basically, like while they were at like sentiment bottoms and the laughing stock and the meme. He's just constantly was like, no, guys, there's something to this. They're serious. Crazy conviction play that I got to see play out over the past 12 months or so. It's been insane. So yeah, I would definitely read a field report if he's dropping field reports on something to farm. I would give that one a read and maybe jump on it. Seems like you got a week left.
Great shots all around. I guess kind of similar page. Also, the Magic Eden rewards are coming for people who I think all just ETH vault since like 2017 or something like that. I think that drops on the 13th, so Wednesday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you can do anything with them yet. I think they're just like the diamonds, so like their points or whatever. But hopefully a lot of us in here cook on the Magic Eden diamonds.
Can I just go off and say Tensor is absolutely dropping the ball? About to let Magic Eden eat their lunch. It's crazy.
What's your case of Magic Eden versus Tensor?
I don't know. Magic Eden, I feel okay. You see all these numbers about like the market share and all that, and I think Tensor was very effective in wrestling away a good market share just because, Magic Eden at the time didn't have any hint of an airdrop or anything like that. And I think Tensor could have capitalized it. I'm just, saying legal constraints aside, maybe there's some legal issues that are murkying the waters there, but a lot of my opinion is a lot of the trading on Tensor is just mostly wash slash farming. And so Magic Eden already has, a pretty big user base and has a lot of other areas like Bitcoin and now ETH and also Polygon, I feel. And so it just feels more natural as a marketplace. Um, and I guess their time to strike for Tensor was to drop a token before Magic Eden because it drops theirs. So, maybe it'll still be profitable in the end for farming, but I just don't see how they can win in terms of long-term user acquisition when Magic Eden, has other things like their own wallet and multiple different chains and is having their own farming program as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, do you use their wallet at all? Magic Eden wallet?
I have started using it more just because I think it'll help in terms of the airdrop. Just nothing confirmed, but if they have their own wallet, why not just farm using that wallet? So I've been doing like the bids and stuff on that wallet.
What's your experience with that? Because I actually just saw like a bullish tweet on it recently. I was thinking, oh, maybe I should try it out. Just the fact that it supports ETH, Sol, and Bitcoin, like in being able to easily switch between the two. I guess I'm wondering like how easy is it like within the wallet to go from like one chain to the other?
I've only been doing Sol on it, so I can't comment on that, but I will look into it and definitely. Not something that I thought about. I had no idea that it did those things, but that sounds good because you guys red pilled me on Rabby, and I haven't used MetaMask since, and that multi-chain experience is amazing.
Yeah, I saw someone say something like, "Oh, I sold ETH NFT for." Yeah, and then like within 2 minutes, I was buying a Sol meme coin with the funds or something like that. And then like then they said they sold the Sol meme coin and then like bought an ordinal on Bitcoin. Like I don't know, it was a little more time, like 20 minutes or something like that. But yeah, sounded interesting if you could do all those and then also farm a token, right? Maybe I'll have
Yeah,
to try it out.
thanks for the shout. I had no idea.
Maybe someone. I feel like
Yo,
there
guys.
might have been a field report. Was there a field report on Magic Eden Wallet? I'll have to look.
Don't remember seeing one, but there's so many good ones that honestly, not enough time to dig through them all.
Right.
Yo, what's up, Chads and Chadettes? On that topic, I just wanted to add something. What's up, guys? Basically, like, Tensor had a lot of market share when Solana was really popular at that exact moment. It still is obviously
Hey,
popular, but
Silva's
like,
saying no magic Eden wallet field report, so we didn't drop the ball there.
All right. Do you have Satoshi's mom muted or something?
Oh,
shit.
I'm sorry.
Can you guys hear me?
He might have been hot mic'd the other time.
No, you're good. No, I think you just
Yeah, I hear you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I just wanted to add something on that last bit because, like, Tensor had a lot of market share, obviously, when Solana was pumping, and like liquidity flows into these different sections, and we witness it all happening in real time. Like, it flowed into Solana NFTs heavily, and then it flowed into Bitcoin NFTs heavily, and then that kind of cooled down. And obviously, Magic Eden took market share when Solana cooled down and Bitcoin NFTs went harder. So it's like, I want to ask the question to just anyone in here in kind of like a brainstorm fashion. Like, what are we not paying attention to right now? Like, meme coins obviously are getting a lot of attention because the barrier to entry is super low. Basically, it's the same NFT Ponzi that we've all been playing these years, but it's just much simpler, easier, less complicated, easier to launch, and it's just purely for the gamblers. So it's like, that has my attention right now because I feel as though the best opportunities have been there, the most liquidity. But like, what aren't we paying attention to right now? And like, if we could look around the corner, like, where's the liquidity going to flow next?
You talking about in terms of farms or just the meta?
Well, like, just in terms of the meta, like, if Bitcoin NFTs aren't hot right now, Solana NFTs aren't really either. Meme coins are definitely hot. But like, I'm just wondering, like, if anybody has thought about, like, okay, like, what aren't we paying attention to? And if there's obviously some way to exploit that or take advantage of that, like, front run it, basically. I know it's kind of like a weird question, but I don't know if anybody has anything on their mind. It's like, oh, dude, well, like, nobody's paying attention to this. I'd just be curious to hear anybody's thoughts.
No, I think it's a great question. I mean, I don't know personally, but I think art is definitely getting slept on right now. I mean, I don't know if that. I don't mean that in terms of like, yeah. I don't mean in terms of like it's undervalued. I just know that not many are talking about art NFTs or ETH NFTs. Even gaming has taken a bit of a dip. So, I think we talked about it last time. Like, you know, the meta rotations this time around have just been so explosive that if you're right, like the payoff is pretty big. So, uh, maybe it's a good time to be looking at things that you think are slept on and just kind of pick up a position.
I think altcoins really haven't had their day. They've just been slept on. You saw the main coins rip like crazy, more than we've ever seen compared to altcoins, and they've just been ripping for days. And I think they'll keep ripping. But we've seen meme coins rip like crazy, but we haven't really seen the entire alt market come up like we usually do. I think that might be an angle people could play. I just don't know when it's going to happen because Bitcoin is just going to seemingly nonstop keep ripping. So when does it actually rotate? That's the big question.
Yeah, that's a really sick point. Both points really dope. I would say, honestly, if I had to say something I've been having fun with is Warpcast. And there's a lot of people that are actively on there. I've also been trading DGen token on base and having some pretty solid gains. It's kind of low liquidity, so it's pretty risky. But if you kind of time bottoms and long dips, you can have some pretty explosive gains pretty fast. But there's definitely an active community on there. And something that just happened this week is they basically devs launched a transaction within a frame. So if you're familiar with Warpcast, frames are basically like a way for you to interact in the app and do an action. And now adding transactions to that, it makes it pretty easy to be able to buy NFTs or buy whatever the hell you want. It's kind of linked to your wallet. So you click in the app on whatever you want to buy, whether it's art or I don't know. I'm sure it's kind of endless. So there could be a lot of stuff that kind of comes out of that. So I've been kind of keeping an eye. Haven't really seen any massive cooks or anything as far as like NFTs or collections being dropped there, like low key, but maybe that's another place to look. And also farming degen is something you can do on their platform too. So that's another kind of farming angle as well.
Good shouts. Good shouts. I think, yeah, it is a fantastic question. I think it's kind of what we're trying to solve with the show, really. It's like, what should we be paying attention to, right? I think you're a bit more zoomed out and forward, way more future thinking. You know, what's overlooked, where's the money going to shift to? But yeah, that is like the time old question, right? It's like, if you can get there early to the next wave, then it's going to pay off. Honestly, I would. It's a kind of a cop out answer, and it doesn't really jive with the TVL, which is so high. But man, I think I'd probably throw Merlin into that conversation, man. It's just like where I think money's going to head towards. I think for all of the reasons Jake laid out, I think it was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, just basically just Bitcoin is king, man. And with the action and the ETF and just like the normies coming in, being able to trade on an L2 of Bitcoin, like you trade on Solana, trade shitcoins on Bitcoin. I think that's just going to be massive. So if that chain is the one that facilitates it, then yeah, I think even with the TVL as big as it is, it's probably not bullish enough. I think it definitely, as far as like the sentiment and awareness, like people just aren't really talking about it anywhere else. So once that changes, yeah, it could be explosive. But that's kind of a cop-out one that we've talked about it to death. But I mean, I do feel strongly I'm aligned with Jake's sort of thesis there, where it could be next. You know, could be a big deal when it does launch. Also, all of my bags, everything that I have, everything that I own, I think is definitely the next wave, and where we should all invest. That is financial advice.
I saw something like Pop's token do some like insane parabolic move. It's like related to Bitcoin puppets, but it's like a community token. It's a BRC20, I believe. Totally could see a lot of liquidity flowing into Bitcoin meme coins, especially if like it doesn't cost you $1 bajillion to trade it. So that's pretty good alpha. I'm definitely going to start researching Merlin right now.
Yeah, best time was yesterday. Next best time is now. It does feel, it has that like that first, like when you first use Solana after using ETH mainnet for so long, you're like, oh, you know, like this is it's like $1 of transactions, similar to other L2s, but just being on Bitcoin, it just feels different. I don't know, feels better.
Can you trade NFTs on it, or is it just BRC20?
I think they do have NFTs, actually. I think Element, the shitty marketplace for Blast, I think it has a Merlin drop down. So yeah, they have NFTs. Somebody tried to release, like, I forget, it was like the first of a protocol or something, but got botted to death, like atrociously botted.
Yeah, I need to look more into what the dApps are on there, but it's the Merlin chain's built by the BitBap team. So it's they're definitely gonna be facilitated, and you can stake NFTs actually for like their Merle governance token as well. So they're definitely gonna be very NFT ordinal and like BRC20 friendly on the layer 2. I think in general, like ordinals are gonna be pretty big this cycle, like anything Bitcoin related in terms of like NFTs or like you said, like shitcoins. It just wasn't, we talked about this previously, but it just wasn't available. Last cycle, like there wasn't Bitcoin NFTs at all, right? And there wasn't like BRC20s or shitcoins on Bitcoin. It was just Bitcoin. Like no one used Bitcoin last cycle, and now like there's actually infrastructure available for it. I think just with how big, obviously Bitcoin's the biggest coin by far. If you ask any normal person about crypto, they're like, "Oh, the Bitcoin thing." So you know, I think just in general, it's just like the most obvious growth sector within this bull. So it's something I say that and I like just keep for some reason fading it, even though I'm not with the Merlin chain stuff, but like the ordinals, just because it's kind of annoying to get into. But once you know those barrier to entries are lowered, the obstacles, and like there's better wallet infrastructure, marketplace, all that stuff, you know, it's just gonna bring liquidity as well. So that's something I'm looking to focus on more this cycle, is just anything really regarding like ordinals or BRC20s or layer 2s, scaling Bitcoin and like degenning on Bitcoin.
Do you guys think the thesis of like Bitcoin whales and Bitcoin is like the, the most luxury chain type thesis, and like Bitcoin whales are just going to unload on Bitcoin related like NFTs and meme coins and shit like that? Like, what is your thoughts, Jake, on that thesis?
I think it's similar. Yeah, I think it's like the same thing as like the ETH thesis of last cycle, where like ETH whales buying like super rare NFTs. I mean, we're already seeing it in Bitcoin with like these like super high like node monkey sales. I think it's like the Bitcoin maxis, like some of them have been against ordinals, but I feel like at this point, more and more are seeing that it's not here, that it's here to stay. And it's like, if you're bullish on Bitcoin, then like why not like buy an NFT in hopes that it goes up more, and then you can make even more Bitcoin from your NFT purchase, right? It's like a leveraged bet on Bitcoin, just like ETH NFTs or whatever other NFTs are kind of like a leveraged bet on that underlying asset. So I think it's gonna play out similar to how it would play out on ETH.
Sick. Are there any BRC20s that people have like researched and are like actively trading or are interested in?
I don't know any off the top of my head, but the first two things I would point you to would be BRC thread, focus discussion rather, and then also the Boss Dogs show with Ross and Wap Dog. They've been doing something similar to Wake and Jake here, where they talk through all things ordinals, sort of Bitcoin ecosystem. They could probably put you on game pretty well.
Oh yeah, that would be epic. Okay, sick. Love it. Love you fucking legends coming through doing this for the squad.
For sure.
Sir.
The main one's probably Ordi, but that one's kind of high already. You see it everywhere. It's like, and Sats too. They're both on major exchanges now. Ordi's always playing between like $75 and $95. You could probably play that swing a little bit, but you're talking about a big ticket item. And it could keep going too. I think it's going to keep going as Bitcoin pumps. Sats too, and I guess pops. Those are the three that people are looking at the most. I don't know if people are still actively buying some that are just coming out of left field like they used to, but I mean, there's still money to be made on BRCs. It's just few and far between, and you kind of need to look for them and wait for dips.
Yeah, I was taking the Boss Dog show for sure. They're who I get my ordinals alpha from lately. They're both killing it in the streets. Last week they did it on Tuesdays. I'm not sure if they're gonna do it on Tuesday again this week. Ask Ross or Waff about exact timing. We'll also ping it out in events as well. But I guess a quick on that note, there's a few I guess hot mints for ordinals this week. Again, I don't really know anything about these because I'm not enough into the streets, but JD gave me a shout out. I think Apostles of Greed just minted. OMB Orange Eyes as well, and then it looks like Macan and a project called Cox is also minting this week. I'm sure they're going to touch out in the ordinal show, but I just wanted to give that shout out in case anyone want to look into it, and they could be minting before that show happens as well.
Oh my god, I missed the wallet submit on Cox, man. What am I going to do?
Looks like you'll have no Cox.
No cock, man. I gotta go FUD it to make sure it doesn't pump. Hasn't heard it shit. You heard it here, folks. NFA. Yeah, totally my fault. I think we had a whitelist for MVHQ. I think I won in here, and the concierge pinged us to join their Discord. Or no, like the concierge pinged us to follow their Twitter. It was like actually follow Twitter. I guess they ran a bunch of giveaways, but everyone like unfollowed. They had like, I don't know, like 800 followers or something like that. I was like, oh, ouch, they're probably pissed. And then it was like, join the Discord. So I joined the Discord and then somehow left. So totally on me. I fumbled that one, but we'll see how the Cocks do. Man, looking at the clock here, I got to bounce here in like 15 minutes. So I guess we could go ahead and wrap the show up. I mean, obviously we're going to kick it here in VC. We can talk through anything for anybody that wants to hang around. But Jake, do you have anything last? Any final thoughts here to send us off into the week? You cool with wrapping around here?
Yeah, I'm all set. I don't have anything really else to touch on. Just want to repeat my bullish sentiment from the beginning of the show. I think this is gonna be a good week for coins in general. I think we're gonna have a nice little rip ski.
Yes, sir. We'll be waiting for it. Hopefully, next week's episode will also take place live on a green candle, but with TBD there. We'll have to keep our fingers crossed. But yeah, appreciate everybody tuning in, man. 50 deep in VC week after week. Absolutely love to see it. Just all of us coming together and putting our heads together and stuff. Also love the cross promotion here for Boss Dogs. Same thing, similar thing. Yeah, everybody just building together and helping each other succeed. Love to see it. Appreciate everybody being here. We will be live again next Monday at 12 Eastern as usual. So yeah, have a good week, everybody. See y'all later.
Thanks, y'all.